So I've been a full-time creative filmmaker, TV professional for about, well, over 8 years now. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I did it. And if I were a filmmaker starting over, this is how I'd make about £200 a day without doing crappy jobs for 50 quid, burning out or getting stuck in the horrendous freelancer trap. So I guess the problem at the start is I started with nothing, and so I chased any job, editing, shooting, making websites for people, photography, graphics, because I was just terrified of ending up in a job that I hated doing. I took £50 to £250 projects that probably paid about £2 an hour, or I worked for free, or I did favors for friends. And I conditioned clients and myself in a way. So I can condition clients to undervalue me, firstly, but I also condition my own mind to undervalue myself and undervalue my own work. And I thought, if I keep doing these little jobs, eventually they'll add up, and they don't. And I had no idea, no niche, no direction, and I had no long-term strategy at all for what I was doing. And my whole mindset was like short-term survival instead of thinking about things in terms of long-term opportunity, essentially. And yeah, so if you'd like a copy of the cold email template that I use now, or this Google Doc that I've made that will help you guide you through sort of value-based pricing as a filmmaker, and to learn more about it, I'm sharing it all inside my free community, and the link description is below if you want to join that. But yeah, the steps I take. So I guess the sort of like the launch process around this and what I'd do immediately if I was starting again today, from scratch, is it's really hard to do this, but the first step really is you have, like, I would think long term and not about quick cash. And I'm saying this from someone who, sent those emails out and got jobs for £250 and tried to just do as many of those as I could in a month, right? But I wouldn't do that. I would try and think long term. So I try and get 1, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, if you're feeling ambitious, 7, 8K job a month, right? Not 5 to 10 cheap gigs. And the way I do this is the next step. So I'd build a simple online presence. So don't go over the top, but I'd make one strong film for myself that I was proud of. I'd tidy up my Instagram and my YouTube, and I would do a website, but I'd say that's optional. I think most things now are social media based. I'd make sure my profile picture was me. People buy from people, they don't buy from companies. I think at the beginning you feel like you need to have this kind of like cool idea for a company with like a logo and and like ultimately I think that era is kind of ending. I think we can see this now that it's more about the person than the brand is the person now. It's not the company. If you think about, even, I mean, the best example is footballers like Ronaldo, Messi. They have more followers, more fans, more people focused on them than any football club in the world does right now. So the next step would be thinking about my inbound plan, right? Because this is the easiest. When people reach out to you, your life is just easy as a filmmaker, as a freelancer, as a company owner. Like, when people are reaching out to you, it makes life so much easier. And the way I would do this is I would post on LinkedIn every day. If you post on LinkedIn every day, you're in the top 1% of people on LinkedIn, and everybody goes on LinkedIn every day. And I would just write. I would just write about things I'm interested in, the filmmaking I'm interested in. I wouldn't try and be like saying, oh, I'm doing this. I wouldn't try and sell. I would just write. I would just try and find my voice and get a rhythm with it, and just enjoy it. Write what you enjoy writing about until you enjoy writing, basically. Write what you love until you love what you write. And then the next part of that, is that right? Sorry, love what you write. Write what you love until you love to write. There we go. We got there. Same advice for reading, by the way. Read what you love until you love to read. But anyway, that's from Naval. Step 4, outbound plan. So I would email companies who actually want the type of film I made. And I would reach out to them. And I wouldn't be reaching out saying, hey, I'm a filmmaker. Can I make a film for you? I would just be reaching out. I'd be saying, look, I really like the work you do. I think this thing you made is really cool. I just wanted to reach out and make a connection. I would not be trying to sell in that first email, which I used to do all the time. And I guess the point with that is sometimes you will sell in that first email, but anyone I've ever sold straight away in an email, or any opportunity I've ever got where they immediately wanted a video, that person turned out to be a nightmare. Like you have to build the relationship slowly. You can't just rush straight out the gate. I really wish I hadn't done that. And then the fifth and final thing I would do is I would build a parallel ladder to this. So I'd get my CV really tight, and I'd just grow my skills. So I'd get my CV out there. I'd be sending it to production companies. Again, not saying hire me, just saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'd be looking for digital imaging technician or data wrangling work, camera assisting work, edit assisting work. I'd be developing my skills with softwares like Shotput Pro, DaVinci, and Avid, and just practicing. And I'd be reaching out to those companies with my CV just as backup for freelance income. I remember when I was in uni, I got my CV tight and I sent it to a load of companies, bunch of companies. I was living in Manchester at the time, and I forgot about it. And 3 years later, I got an email from this company saying, "Hey, are you free for 3 weeks to edit this commercial? £200 a day, so £1,000 a week. Great, yeah, I'm ready." Like, I went round, met them, couldn't for the life of me and realize like where they'd got my info from. Anyway, do the job. About 2 weeks into the job, I say, "Where did you get my details, by the way?" And they said, "You sent us your CV." And I was like, "No, I don't think I did." And then, so I went home, checked my emails, looked through. I'd sent this company my CV when I was in uni. It was embarrassing, the CV, but it had sat on their inbox for 3 years. And then when a job came up, they didn't put a expression of interest out to anyone. They just looked through their emails and they found me. And it was like really good money and amazing opportunity. And I added a commercial that, it went out in, I think, about 15 different 15 different countries. And so, yeah, don't underestimate the power of kind of just sending your CV to these companies. It might sit on someone's computer for 3 years, but in the long run, it will come back around to you. What happens next, basically, if you apply these steps, is you can earn kind of £200 a day on average for a combination of one good big project and then freelance days when they come. This could be even more when you do this with value-based pricing, because you actually end up working less days, because you've pitched a film and you're sold a film for, say, 3 or 4 grand. You're not necessarily going to work every day that month, to get that done. It's going to be a way more efficient process. And then what happened with me was I ended up making films for me with aligned clients that only got 150 views, but I ended up making about £15,000 plus on other jobs that came in because of that. Because I then used that film when I was reaching out to people and networking with people, and when I was introducing myself and saying, "Hey, I love what you do." And I would just have that film in my email signature and people would check it out. And I wasn't saying, "Here's this film I've made," and pushing it. It was just there, I think that's a really key thing I wish I'd known sooner. It's better that you have a film that only 150 people watch, but it's 150 people who might give you work or give you a project. There's no point getting 1 million views if those 1 million views are in a place where you're never going to get work from it. I then ended up making films for like £7,000 plus with my best mate, and we would go and film stars and sunsets, and I just stopped working with these like low budget clients and jobs completely. And I've built a network now that brings me inbound work where I don't even have to chase for it, which is super surreal. Like I haven't actually applied for a job all year. Work has just come to me. You think it's not going to come, and then it does, and I get an email and it happens, and it's crazy, really. And it's allowed me to achieve consistent months where I'm making around £4,000 a month, some months making up to like £11,000, which is just nuts. And working on projects that like I really care about, you end up less days working, and then you can recharge creatively, and then you can make more stuff that's more aligned with you. If you make more stuff that's more aligned with you, it's this thing that just compounds. But it can only compound if you give it the opportunity to let it compound. It has to be long-term vision. And if you don't think about these things in the long term, they'll never compound, and you just end up in this same space of just short-term thinking, going around in circles. And at the moment, I have 5 spots open where I want to work with people one-on-one and just help them get similar results that I've managed to do. So if you're curious, there's a link in the description where you can apply for that. But yeah, to summarize, I just wish I'd stopped trying to work my way up with cheap jobs, because that game is completely rigged against you. And I wish from the start I just built one film that was an evergreen asset that I was proud of. Then I would find companies and reach out to them that either I was inspired by, or I thought the kinds of films that I would make would benefit them. And I would reach out to people daily, not to ask for jobs, but just to build relationships, with just genuine curiosity of like, if you think someone's cool, like hit them up and let them know. And I wish I just thought in months and years and not days and weeks. And even months is probably too short term of thinking, because ultimately there's that old, I think it's military phrase that I really like, which is slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And think like one line project can fund your whole month, if not 3-4 months, if not a year, so it's worth taking the time. So if you found that helpful at all, would love to have you inside our filmmaking community. Like I say, it's free to join. Link is just below in the description.